Hello guys, I hope you are doing well today. Today we'll be covering something called the SQL databases. What does this all mean exactly? The SQL is just a box where you have installed a database. And what is a database exactly, especially when it comes to the RDBMS, which is a Relational Database Management System? It's just a box where you have a database installed in it, and this database is split into tables. And each table, it has its own specification, right? So today, guys, let's first cover what is all about the database. Okay, the key elements of database, the tables, the foreign key, the etc. Okay, and now let's dive in straight away and see exactly what is all about. So today, module number 3, SQL and database part 1. Okay, the agenda of today is the introduction to databases, the relational database paradigm, basic SQL, okay, RDBMS, it means relational database management systems. We're going to see some advanced SQL, lightly, not in depth, because you are just, at the end of the day, a data scientist. You won't be doing very advanced SQL. When you join a company, for instance, you'll be working with an administrator, with SQL administrator. If you need anything, he's going to help you out on that. I want to cover lightly at the same time the NoSQL databases. Introduction database, we're going to discuss the definition, the usage, the features, the applications, the elements of database, the principles of database, the relational database paradigm, the SQL, and the RDBMS. The database, at the end of the day, today is a standard. What does it mean? A standard, it's a solution for data storage. If you want to store something, if you go to any organization in the world now, whether the banks, the government, they have data. And all these data, they're stored in databases, okay? In the old days, we used to store data in file, like text file, CSV file from Microsoft, JSON file, and so on, but it's not reliable, and it's not flexible at all. So the data is there to make sure the data, first of all, is going to be secure and very easy to handle from one database to another database. You can transfer them the way in and out without any issues, okay? And that's why we use databases. Database is very flexible, is reliable, and it's safe at the end of the day. So the most important elements of the database are the tables. This database consists of tables, okay? And these tables, they consist of columns, which are called the attributes, and the rows, which are called the records, okay? We have at the same time keys, how these two tables can interact with each other. We have some of the key, the foreign key, okay? And we can do the queries from one table to another table. We can view the table. We can retrieve the data from the table. We can join two tables and so on, okay? This is, and then we can trigger, if you wanted to trigger an event in a table or in a database, we can compute that. We can have a batch procedure that run on a scheduled system to get all the information from the table, okay? So at the end of the day, what is the database is all about. The main element of the database are the tables. And each table, it has data. It has data. And we have at the same time how these two tables, they can interact with two tables. For instance, how do they interact? They interact using keys. We have the private keys and we have the foreign keys. We're going to discuss this later on. What you can see here, you can see exactly, let me get my pen. What you can see here, you can see different tables here. You can see, let me get that. Okay, we have a table here called customer, we have a table called contact, and we have a table here called the contact type. Here we have the name, the last name, and the customer ID. And here we have the contact. That's with the contact here. We have the customer ID. We have the contact information. We have the contact ID. And exactly the same here. And this table, they interact with each other using some keys. Some of the keys are, we call them the foreign keys, and some are the private keys, okay? For instance, here, just give you an example between the foreign key and the private key. The private key, it can be one, it cannot be many. Just give you an example. If you have your mobile phone number is going to be a private key. Nobody has it. It's a unique key. Okay? You cannot find someone else in your country or in your organization has exactly the same private key. The foreign key, okay, is the private key here. In this case here, the customer ID can be a private key that's unique to an employee, for instance, or a customer. And if it is here, this foreign key here, this private key is going to be a foreign key here. Okay, if it is private here, if we move to the next one, the next table is going to be a foreign key. All right, that's the difference between a private key and foreign key. The private key is unique, and the foreign key, it is exactly the private key, but in a different table. That's why we call it foreign. It's a foreign key. Okay. For instance, here the contact ID here is gonna the customer ID. Its private key here is going to be the customer ID here. Okay, and in the contact table, the private key is going to be the contact ID, which is unique. Okay, which is unique here. The same here for the contact type, right? In the contact type here, you have the contact type ID. Here, this one is the private key in this table, right? And this one is going to be anything anyway. This is going to be the phone number at work, the cell phone, home, a fax, an email, and so on. Okay. And what you see here in the relational database, and this is the way the table that can interact with each other, and they can interact with this one is going to be the primary key or the private key, whatever. Okay, it's the private key and the artist ID is unique. The artist picture is going to be unique. The artist biography is going to be unique. But in this case here, in this case, we have the primary key here, which is a private key. That one is going to be unique. The artist ID here is going to be unique in this table called artists, right? But if you move to the next table, which is called the recording table, okay? And keep this in your mind. All these tables, they belong to the same, probably, SQL database, okay? And they can interact with each other using the primary key and the foreign key. Okay, so the artist ID here and the genre ID here in this table, they are foreign key. But in this table, the artist ID is going to be the primary key or the private key. Okay, you have to keep this in mind. The genre ID here, the genre ID is going to be in your table. That's going to be exactly the primary key. Okay, so this table, they can interact from left to right using the primary keys and the foreign keys. These are the most important part of it, which is exactly the different RDMS available in the market now. In the early days, we used to have like SQL Server, we used to have Microsoft, and now we have so many SQL databases. We have the SQL Server from Microsoft, we have from Oracle, we have the Postgre SQL, we have Sybase, we have the DB2 from IBM, we have now from Amazon, we have which is exactly the web services on the cloud. We have the SQLite, which we'll be using later on. Later on, we'll be using Python with SQLite because we're not going to install all these, okay, all these databases to implement Python with SQL. So we're going to have like an SQLite version of SQL, so we can exactly compute or use Python to interact with the SQL, and that's what you're going to do exactly when you will be a data scientist. You have Python, and using Python, you're going to interact with the SQL, and the same statement or the same queries will be used, whether you're going to be used here or here is going to be exactly the same. Okay. Yeah, we have just an example here. So the interaction between two tables, this table number one, this table number two. As you can see here, there is one here and there's three here. So the interaction here is going to be from one to many. So we have three different types of relations in the database. We have one-to-one, which is not used at all nearly, or we have one-to-many, in this case, one too many table. This table interact with this one into one to many, and this one to many, this one to many, this one to many, etc. At the same time, we could have many to many. What does it mean, many to many? We have this one, which is many, all right, to many. Okay, so keeping in mind the three different types of relations in the database, exclude this one-to-one, and then we're going to include this one to many and many to many. In this scenario, for instance, one to many, we have one to many here, and we have here many to many, which is exactly, this is many, which is more than two, at least two to many. Okay, and what you can see here, you can see exactly the primary key here, and you can see the primary key here, that will be here at the same time, all right, which is going to be the foreign keys. Okay, again here, you're going to have the primary keys, you have the primary keys here, you have the foreign keys here, foreign keys here, the foreign keys here, okay? And the primary key here is going to be the ID, for instance. The primary key here is going to be the ID of the customer test, etc. Right? So keep in mind, you have a primary key, we have primary key, and we have a foreign key. A primary key is going to be in the first table, okay? And when this primary key is going to move into the second table, for instance, a different table is going to be a foreign key, and the rest of the table is going to be foreign key. But each table has its own primary key. Just an example here, we have a few tables. We have the customer table, okay? That's the relational model, which is table 4. And this one, we have the customer table, we have an account table, we have a product table, and we have the transaction table, what's happening, okay? If you go transaction, everything is recorded in a transaction table here. Now, if you design your database, once you design a database, the database is going to consist of a customer table, it's going to be consist of account, product, and the transaction, what's happening at the end of the day, and when the transaction has taken place, exactly the date. Okay, so the design is a little bit thorough and quite complex, but at the same time, it tells you exactly what's happening in your database. Just an example here, the table creation, how to create a table. Let's here, we can, let's here, we can create a table, we can design a table. That's very important here, a table with name, eye color, birth date, the address, the favorite foods, and so on. And then what we do here, and this is exactly what we're going to do. This is exactly the table. This is the name. That's the name here, and that's the eye color here. That's the birth date here, and that's the date we have created. Now, when it comes to this, when it comes to the type, this is the type of data you'll be putting here. What does it mean? The name varchar equal 40. What does it mean? You're going to give 40 space of character. They're going to include exactly the name. 40 is more than enough. Okay. The eye color, you need only 2. Okay, 2 for space, BL, BR, GR, etc. The date, you keep put it as a date. The varchar for the address is going to be quite longer than the name, so the address is going to be huge. So you give more space in the table to contain exactly the address of the customer or of someone else. The favorite foods can be 200 here. It's going to be maybe longer than the address itself. Okay. Then you create a table. You create a table called person, for instance, and you put all these. You put the name, the last name, the eye color, birth date, the street, city, date, country, postal code, etc. And then you're going to create table for person, and this table, it has this, which is exactly F name, N name, the varchar, I color, which is BR, BL, or enumeration, which is the birthday, date, street, varchar 30. It's up to you here. You can put 40, you can put 20, depends on the address. You're gonna probably put the address into something a lot bigger. You're gonna have the city name here, maybe 20. Yes, it's more than enough to have a 20 for the city, and that the city is going to be has composed name and so on. You have the state. Some of the states are quite big too. The country, varchar 20, the postal code is going to be small. Most of the postal code is less than 10, probably. Like in Australia, we have 4, like 3 or 4, 7, for instance. So here is going to be 4 or 5 at max, etc. Okay, so this is exactly how you, first of all, you design your database, and then you refine your database, what you're going to put inside your database when it comes to the type and so on. Okay, this is very important here. The next one, I will show you straight away what are the string data type, which is this one. Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. And as you can see here, the varchar here, it can take up to 65,535. So it's, if you put 40 here, it's nothing. You have a lot of space to be used. Okay, but confine yourself something which is manageable, right? The same for all the string data type. You can have a look at these, please, and then you can see exactly what sort of data do you want to put in your table when it comes to the type here. Okay, the varchar, you have the char here. The char here is 2. Let's go. The char here is probably up to 255. Okay, which is more than enough. Something else, for instance, we have the varchar. We have discussed this, etc. All right. And again here in MySQL, which is exactly one of the databases. All right. If you go back exactly to MySQL, it's this one. All right. In MySQL, you can create your own. You can create a table. Okay. And this table is called person. Okay. And this table, it has this. It has a name, the given name, the eye color, etc., which is exactly this one. Okay. And by doing description, DESC, person, semicolon here, then it will show you, it will display to you exactly the information you have put here. All the information you put here, the varchar 20 here is going to be the varchar 20. That's the varchar 20 here. 20 enumeration, 20 enumeration here, etc. Date is going to be here, and date is going to be here, etc. Okay, that's, you create a database called person, and you're going to display exactly what does this database consist of, contain what sort of information it contains. The same here for the favorite food, same, exactly the same. You can display it exactly the same as before, so it's exactly the same like this one. You can do exactly the same here. And then this is exactly is all about. So when it comes to the database, we use database mainly for storage or for querying information. Querying, what does it mean? We query the information it contains. Okay, we can take out the information, we can process it, and then we can retrieve it and so forth. So it's going to be, we insert the information, we retrieve the information, we use the query language, which is the query SQL language, called the query language, and then we can use the query language to get all the information we want from the databases. Here we have an example here. Let me show you exactly what it's all about here. I can go to this, if I keep this, okay, and we have this link here. This link is very, very important, guys. Okay, and we can click on the link here, okay, and then we can. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna open another link here, share here, which is this one. This is the link I would like to share with you guys. Okay, and this link here, we can. Yeah, what you're gonna do here, that's the SQL statement. That's the SQL. We're gonna select names. Okay, let's first show you here what are we have the tables here available. Okay, we have the table available here. This is very important link here. We have the table available. We have customers. Okay, as you can see here, we have customers. When select star from customers, what does it mean? I'm going to select everything from the customer table. This is a customer table. I'm going to select everything from the customer table. Okay, so everything from the customer table. So if I'm going to the categories here, which is a different table here, categories here, I'm going to select everything from the categories table. What does it mean here? When I select star, it means to select everything, okay, from this table. If I am gonna click on suppliers here, so we're gonna select everything from the suppliers. The suppliers, we have the supplier name, we have the contact name, address, city, postcode, country, phone, etc. We have all the information here. This is just one table, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tables in this database. So this database contains exactly 8 tables, okay? And these tables, they interact with each other. We're gonna see later on how these tables, they're gonna interact with each other, okay? So go back exactly. Okay, let me first get, okay. All right, this is exactly where we were before. Okay, we're here. We are here, okay? So you can select from orders, you can select from a table called orders, you can select from customer with country called Germany. If you want to do that, let's take this, for instance, just an example to show you how it works. Okay, copy, stop sharing. We open another sharing here, and then okay, that's the one here. If we try to do this SQL statement here, so we're going to select everything from customers, which is this table from customers here, where the country is going to be is Germany. Okay, where the country is going to be Germany. If we do that one, if we run SQL here, as you can see here, the country is all of it is Germany, and these are all the customers where they live exactly in Germany. Okay, we can play wherever you want, select everything from customers where the country is Germany. You can change it to China, to the US, to UK, etc. We want. Or we can have another example if you want, guys. Another example is, for instance, all right, let's take another example. All right. All right, so let's take another example here. And you're going to see to be an error here. I'm going to explain to you exactly what does it mean. So we're going to select from the customers from this table here, okay, where the customer name is Alfred's. Okay. So if we execute this one is going to display an error. Why exactly? Because there was a mistake here where the code is going to be like this and not like the one here. All right. All right. And then we run again. again, you can see the customer ID is this one, and you have the customer name, the customer address, etc., etc. So we select everything from customers where the name is this, no one else. Okay, I think display exactly that these guys, all the information about these guys, and these guys is from Germany. Okay, we can do another something else if you want. There's plenty of all right, to stop sharing here. Okay, you can play with this. You can select a star from orders, exactly the same. Okay, this is number one. Next one, you can again take all these SQL statement here. You can put them in the website and see how it goes. Right, this is a very good practice for you guys. I would advise you exactly to play with it. That's it's going to display the minimum price of the product here. That's going to display again the minimum price for a specific product. That are going to display exactly the product table here, the product table, etc. So you can play with all these SQL statements. It's very straightforward. Okay, and what you can do exactly, copy and paste, and see how it goes here. Let me show you. Let me show you guys how share here. Okay, we can cut and paste all the information here, and you run your SQL. If you want to do something for orders, this is the orders. This is orders ID or orders tables here. There's the customer ID, employee ID, order date, and shipment ID. So this is a very good website, guys. If you want to practice more and more on SQL, this is the way to go. Okay, don't install a new SQL on your server or on your laptop and you try to play with it. Probably this one is a lot easier. It's going to save you a lot of time. Okay, the next one is I'm going to stop this and move forward. All right. So, and this one is if you want to display the customer table, that's the way to go. Select star from customer table, from customers, and semicolon at the end. Keep this. There's always a semicolons at the end of an SQL statement. Okay. You can play with this, and you can see here the interaction between the tables, interaction between sales table, staff table, production, all the items, orders, etc. And you can see if it is one to many or many to many. It depends what you want to do. For instance, this one and this one with this one is many to many, but this one is one to many, etc. That's the correlation and the relationship between the tables. We discussed the primary key. We discussed exactly the foreign key. What is primary key here is going to be a foreign key in the next table. Case here, the primary key, the student ID is unique, okay? And the student ID at the university is unique. Maybe we could have a different primary key. Maybe his phone number could be primary key too. So it's up to us to set exactly what is the primary key and what is the foreign key. For instance, in this case here, the student ID, which is unique at the university, it is primary key. When it in one table. When you move to the next table, this is students, okay, students table. When you move to the next table, which is called enrollments, and this one, the student ID is going to become a foreign key, and etc. Okay. So again, here we have something called the join. Join is not very at this stage, it's not very important, but again, we can join two table. We can have an inner join of two table. We can join two table together. An inner join, we can have a left join, we can have right join, and we can have a full outer join. And as you can see, the inner join is the intersection between the table. What do they have in common? The left join is the left table. What does it have in common with the right table, which is exactly this one? At the same time, it includes exactly the whole table one. The same for the right join, the opposite of the left join, and full outer join is exactly table one and table two mixed together. And this one is just the code, how to do that. If you want to design the inner table, if you want to join the outer table, it's up to you guys to do that. So, but again, this sort of exercise, the join table and so on, I don't see it as really part of the data scientist. Probably it's mainly part of the data administrator. But as I mentioned earlier, if you work with a company, you will be working with a team, and working with the team, you will see that you have a database administrator working with you. He's an expert in database and joins and etc. All right. So again, it's good to know that. It's good to know at least you have an idea exactly what it's all about when it comes to join, inner join, left join, right join, and full outer join. We have an example here. For the join. It gives you an idea about the join here. We have orders ID, we have customer ID, orders date from orders, the inner join, etc. And we have on orders customer ID equal this. Okay. So you can play with it. You can play with it, and you can go back exactly to that website. There's a lot of exercise on the join. That's exactly the inner join, the outer join, and you have all the codes here. You can play with it. So it's not an issue here. Okay, that's it. I think this is very important here. You have an idea exactly what it's all about when it comes to the SQL and the SQL statements. It's you have that website. Go back to the website, play with it. You know that the SQL now consists of tables, and these tables they interact with each other using the foreign key and the private key or the primary key, whatever. So they interact with each other, and this is what it is. Okay. So if you have any question, please come back to me. Come back to me in the comment, and you can ask any question you want. The next one is going to be SQL in Python. How to use SQL in Python. This is the most interesting part for us. Okay, because we are focusing on Python, we are still focusing on data scientists, we are focusing on the SQL in Python. So we need to do exactly how to use Python with SQL. And this one, for any question, please put in the comment down there. Ask a question. I will come back to you if you want. Okay. Thanks very much. I appreciate what you've been doing. Okay. Thanks very much. Have a good day, guys. Take care.